Welcome, friends. The hospital was wrapped in silence. Only the soft beeping of the monitor filled the air. In the middle of the small room lay a little girl, fragile and pale. Her tiny arms wrapped around an old teddy bear that had been with her through many nights of fear. Beside her sat a young nurse. Her white coat looked simple, her hands a little tired from endless work. Yet her touch was gentle like a mother's embrace. She leaned close, brushing the little girl's hair away from her face, whispering words of comfort. The nurse smiled, but behind that smile lived 1,000 sacrifices. She worked long hours with little rest and almost nothing left for herself. She couldn't even afford a beautiful dress of her own. But none of that stopped her from giving love so pure that even this child, lost in sickness, found peace in her arms. To the world, she was just a nurse. But to this little girl, she was hope, comfort, and family. If this story touched your heart, don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, and share. Soul of kindness. Welcome, friends. The door of the hospital room creaked open. The little girl's father stepped inside, his shoulders heavy with worry, his heart burdened with fear. For days he had watched his daughter suffer, feeling powerless, feeling broken as a father. But when his eyes fell on the scene before him, he froze. There she was, the nurse, holding his fragile child in her arms, rocking her gently, whispering words of comfort like a mother would. For the first time in weeks, his little girl looked at peace. He stood quietly by the door, his eyes filling with tears he had been too strong to shed. In that moment, he realized this woman was more than a caretaker. She was the reason his daughter still smiled. She was the strength he had prayed for, but never expected to find. Slowly he walked closer, his steps unsteady. He looked at the nurse, her tired eyes, her worn-out uniform, her selfless smile, and something inside him broke. She wasn't just healing his child. She was healing him too. His voice trembled as he finally whispered to himself, "How can someone with so little give so much?" The nurse looked up at him, surprised by the tears in his eyes. But before she could speak, the little girl stirred in her arms and reached for her father. The man rushed forward, gently touching his daughter's hand, but his gaze remained locked on the woman who had become their angel in white. If this story touched your heart, don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, and share. Soul of kindness. Welcome, friends. The father sat down slowly beside the hospital bed, his eyes never leaving the nurse. For a moment, the silence between them spoke louder than words. He could see the tiredness in her face, the faint dark circles under her eyes, the way her hands trembled slightly from endless hours of work. And yet there was a light in her, a light he could not ignore. He cleared his throat, his voice unsteady. "I've seen you here, every night, every day. You never leave her side. You treat her as if she were your own child. Why? What makes you care so much? When you have nothing to gain?" The nurse's eyes filled with tears, but she quickly looked away. Her voice was soft, almost breaking. "Because I know what it feels like. To be alone. I know what it's like to need someone, and have no one there. I don't want her to feel that pain. Not while I'm here." The father's heart ached at her words. He realized then that this woman wasn't just kind. She carried her own wounds, her own unspoken struggles. She had given everything to the world and received nothing in return. The little girl stirred in her sleep, reaching out with her small hand. Instinctively, the nurse and the father both leaned closer, their hands brushing against each other as they comforted the child. Their eyes met, his filled with gratitude, hers filled with quiet sorrow. And in that fragile, fleeting moment, something unspoken passed between them. A bond, a connection, the beginning of a story neither of them expected. If this story touched your heart, don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, and share. Soul of kindness. Welcome, friends. The nurse sat silently, holding the little girl close to her chest. Tears shimmered in her eyes, though she tried to hide them. She had spent her whole life giving care, giving comfort, giving her heart. But no one had ever stopped to ask what she needed, what she dreamed of. And then the father stepped closer. His hands trembled as he held out the small gift box. His voice broke with emotion as he whispered, "You've given my daughter laughter when I thought I'd lost her smile forever. You gave her the love of a mother when life had taken that away. But tonight, I want to give something to you." The nurse gasped softly, her tears finally spilling. She looked down at the child in her arms, then at the man standing before her. With weak hands, she opened the box. Inside was a simple, elegant dress, something she had never been able to buy for herself. Her lips trembled as she touched it. To her, it wasn't just a dress. It was a promise that she was seen, that she mattered, that she was loved. The little girl stirred in her arms, opened her sleepy eyes and whispered faintly, "Please say yes. Daddy needs you, and so do I." In that single moment, the nurse broke down, not from pain, but from hope. For the first time in years, she realized she wasn't invisible. She was wanted. She was cherished. She was loved. And as the father reached out his hand, the nurse smiled through her tears. That night, in the quiet hospital room, 3 broken souls found the courage to begin again. See, if this story touched your heart, don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, and share. Soul of kindness.